So I have been a gigantic Zelda fan for literally 3 decades at this point, and through that time I've noticed that I have some opinions that don't always agree with the vast majority of the Zelda fandom. That's why today I'm sharing my top 5 Zelda hot takes. And please, as other Legend of Zelda fans, let me know in the comment section what are some of your hot takes as well. First off, the Water Temple and Ocarina of Time is one of the greatest dungeons of all time. And should I say it? I don't know, maybe I won't say it. I'll just say it. Some of y'all just need to get good. This is quite possibly the most difficult to complete Zelda dungeon of any game to date, as there's keys that are very difficult to find. It's very easy to get lost and disoriented with all the different directions and with all the different water levels. But ultimately, what I want out of a quality Zelda dungeon is to be challenged. The atmosphere is fantastic. The music is extremely memorable. The mini-boss is iconic and excellent. And it was flat out an experience. A very vivid experience. Nowadays, it feels like we've gone off in the complete opposite direction, where the temples are not memorable and they're not challenging whatsoever. The thing about the Water Temple is you're never totally stuck, even though you feel that way at some points. You're probably just missing some room or you're missing some key. There is that one key that's underneath that floating platform, and that for the most part is the biggest thing that hangs people up. But the game literally emphasizes that location. It shows you, very specifically, that there is an entrance down there. So is the game really the issue, or was the issue that we weren't paying attention? The one bit of advice I'd give for this temple is that it's actually not that hard if you just draw out a map. There's about 4 entrances and exits on each of the 3 levels, and if you just remember what is where, then it's not really all that hard to do the backtracking. For me, the hardest part was just actually remembering what was where. So ultimately, I think people are going to keep complaining about this temple for many years to come. But for myself personally, this is one of the best Zelda temples to date. In The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker, sailing the Great Sea is awesome. And the fact that it takes so long to get from one destination to another is in fact part of what makes it special. One of the most common complaints in Wind Waker is that sailing across the sea is incredibly time-consuming and tedious. But for me, enjoying the ocean, enjoying the sense of freedom, and just being able to relax on those waves is one of my memories that I cherish the most. It's also kind of funny because one of the things I often hear praised about Wind Waker is the fact that it gives you this tremendous sense of freedom and adventure. The thing is, you have to go on a journey to have an adventure. And if you're just basically fast traveling across the ocean, and it doesn't take time to get from one destination to another, then that's not going to feel very adventurous. So yeah, is it a little tedious at times? Sure. But at the very least, it's a necessary evil, because you can't have that thrill, that journey, that adventure if it isn't a little bit time-consuming. They did try to address that with Wind Waker HD by giving you a much faster sail to get across the ocean, and by eliminating the fact that you have to constantly change the wind direction. With that being said, I'm still torn on whether or not I want to use that sail. Because again, I think the fact that it is time-consuming is part of what makes it so special. My third hot take is that in Breath of the Wild and in Tears of the Kingdom, the horses are trash. Utter garbage. As someone who grew up playing Ocarina of Time, and who was utterly stoked to get Epona and ride across Hyrule, I understand that riding on the horses is a really cool concept, and does add to the sense of adventure. The problem with Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom is that there's a million different ways to fast travel. There's a million different ways to traverse mountains, and in Tears of the Kingdom specifically, you can create stuff like a hover bike, or any sort of vehicle that allows you to fly across the land. If you've got all that, then why would you even use the horses? They can't traverse that many inclines, and unlike the horse in, say, Elden Ring, you basically come to an immediate stop anytime there's the smallest hill. So at the end of the day, I kind of found them as just a waste of time. I don't know if the game would be better off without them even being in it, but I would go as far as saying that they really don't add much to the adventure at all. My fourth hot take is that the tunics were much, much better when they were just basic green, blue, and red. Jumping from Ocarina of Time to Twilight Princess is when the tunics really changed. At that point, it was no longer just about the colors, but Link's blue tunic now had to resemble that of Azora. I get it, there's some realism thrown in, because if Link is going to do something like breathe underwater, it would kind of make sense that he would have a suit to match the task. The problem is that it's an eyesore, and in most contexts, it looks ridiculous. When I'm traveling through the westernville of Kakariko Village, the last thing I want to do is put on my flipper suit and look like a total clown. If it was just like Ocarina of Time, where I was just wearing blue, then that would work. So unfortunately, the more specific tunics make it to where you're less inclined to wear them throughout the rest of the game. And for those of you who start critiquing my take and saying that it's more about the realism, well then I would then point out that why does the realism matter so much when Link can do something like, oh I don't know, carry 247,000 items in his pockets and not have weight or space be an issue? That's not the most realistic thing, but no one seems to complain about that. So for myself personally, I wish the tunics would just go back to the basic colors and not worry so much about the realism. My fifth and final hot take is that Skyward Sword is an S-tier Zelda game, and people literally shunned a great game because boo-hoo the controls. Listen, during the Nintendo Wii era, every game felt like it was a bit annoying when it came to the controls. I can't tell you how frustrating it was to play Metroid Prime 3 on the stupid Wiimote. At that point, I was in my third Metroid Prime game. I knew what the controls felt like, I knew the way I wanted to play it, but I couldn't do it that way. With that being said, I still enjoyed that game immensely, because to me, the adventure is about so much more than how comfortable the controls are. The music is debatably the best music of any Zelda game to date, and the story is utterly incredible. I will also say that this is one of my favorite iterations of Link in the sense that he emotes so well. That's something that I think has been recently lacking in both Breath of the Wild and in Tears of the Kingdom. I think it's a very emotional game that gets you highly invested in its story and in its adventure. The temples are some of the best temples of any Zelda game. And although some of their ideas were a little bit tedious and annoying, like having to go to the sealed grounds and fighting the imprisoned so many freaking times, overall, I still think the good far outweighs the bad. And although people are starting to come around and recognize that this was actually a pretty decent Zelda game, I'm going to go a step above that and say that it's one of my top 4 Zelda games that I've ever played. And I'm just waiting for the rest of y'all to catch up. So what do you guys think? How off base was I on some of these hot takes? And what are your Zelda hot takes? I look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comment section below. Thanks for watching as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more Zelda and Metroid content, and I'll see you guys in the next video.